Have you ever reached a point in life where everything looks fine on the outside? Career, family, achievements, yet deep inside, there's a quiet unrest you can't name. Not pain, not crisis, just no peace. More than 1,600 years ago, a man felt exactly that way. St. Augustine wrote one sentence that has echoed through centuries. You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it rests in you. This isn't a saint speaking from heaven. This is a man confessing from the battlefield of his soul. In today's video, we're not just listening to an ancient book. We're listening to a restless heart and maybe recognizing our own. Welcome. When we talk about St. Augustine, forget the distant, pious figure. The Augustine in the Confessions was a lost young man, restless, obsessed with fame and sensual pleasure. Honestly, he was a mess. Driven by desires, making mistakes, grappling with human flaws. This isn't a saint's biography. It's a relatable story of a soul in turmoil. The Confessions is groundbreaking. The Western world's very first psychological autobiography. Augustine lays bare his innermost thoughts, his motivations, his triumphs, and his profound failings with astonishing candor. It's a radical self-examination, dissecting his soul on the page. Our journey today. In the next 20 minutes, we'll trace Augustine's path from the darkness of desire and intellectual wandering through intense personal struggle to the light of truth and conversion. It's a powerful transformation. Lean in. This will be a ride. All right, everyone. Welcome back to our journey through St. Augustine's Confessions. Today, we're diving into Chapter 1, kicking off with a truly profound and frankly unsettling exploration. Human nature, right from birth. Most of us picture newborns as symbols of pure innocence, right? Blank slates. Augustine, however, sees things very differently. A baby isn't innocent. They're simply powerless. They lack the physical strength to act out selfish desires. But those desires, they're absolutely present from day one. He points to the relentless demands, instant gratification expected, the furious crying if a need isn't met immediately. Consider infant jealousy, two babies side by side, one getting attention, the other erupting in a primal scream of envy. Augustine saw these behaviors not as cute quirks, but as raw evidence of original sin, that inherent human bent towards self-will. It's not about malice. It's about a fundamental imperfection woven into our very being. So, the crucial lesson: if even in our most nascent state, we're not perfect, pure beings, then moral guidance isn't just a suggestion we pick up later. It's utterly essential from the moment we draw our first breath. We cannot perfect ourselves. Augustine argues we inherently require external moral direction and divine grace to navigate life towards true goodness. This challenging perspective lays the groundwork for all of the confessions that follow, shaping his views on redemption and our lifelong quest for God. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the Confessions of St. Augustine. We're currently navigating adolescence and the temptation of evil. a particularly raw and honest look at Augustine's early life. Today, we're tackling a seemingly small incident that, for him, became a profound revelation about sin's sheer irrationality. The infamous Pear Theft. Picture this. A young Augustine, restless and impressionable, not yet the saint, but a regular teenager. He's got a crew, a gang of what he calls bad friends. One night, under the cover of darkness, they're out, and their target, a neighbor's pear tree. They didn't just pick a few. They swiped whole baskets. Now, here's the kicker. Augustine wasn't starving. His family had plenty of perfectly good pears at home. In fact, after all that illicit effort, they barely ate any. Most of their ill-gotten gains were just tossed to the pigs. Utterly senseless, right? But this is where it gets fascinating. Augustine later reflects that he loved the act of transgression itself. The thrill wasn't about the fruit. It was about doing something forbidden, purely because it was forbidden. He loved his own error. This wasn't a crime of need or desire for the object. It was a crime of will. It was the perverse pleasure of choosing evil for evil's own sake. A profound, unsettling insight into the human heart, and he wouldn't have done it alone. He admits the fun was in doing it with his gang. The shared mischief, the collective high of breaking rules, completely overshadowed his individual conscience. Peer pressure effectively melted away his personal ethics. It's a powerful lesson in how easily we can lose ourselves in a crowd, doing things we'd never dream of by ourselves. That desire to fit in, to be part of something, even something destructive, can silence our inner voice of right and wrong, leading us down paths of inexplicable, irrational sign. Alright folks, let's fast forward a bit. Young Augustine, now a teenager, leaves his small hometown for the bustling energy of Carthage. Welcome to Chapter 3. Carthage, a crucible of love and lust. Carthage wasn't just any city. It was a pulsating center of learning and, more significantly for Augustine, a breeding ground for temptation. The student life. Wild, uninhibited, a stark contrast to the watchful eyes of his childhood. He plunged headfirst into this new freedom, quickly embracing a dissolute way of living. Augustine, with painful honesty, later confessed what truly drove him during these years. He wasn't necessarily searching for true love, but rather the sensation of being loved. He yearned for the thrill, the validation, the intense physical connections that ultimately masked a deeper spiritual void. He indulged in carnal relationships, confusing the fleeting passions of the body with the profound affection of the soul. He mistook lust for lasting commitment, chasing an intoxicating high he believed was fulfillment. Adding to this emotional maelstrom was his fervent passion for the theater. How he adored the dramas. He'd weep intensely for fictional lovers, for made-up sorrows played out on stage. But these were artificial emotions, a twisted pleasure that allowed him to indulge in superficial sadness without confronting the very real, unresolved desires and emptiness within himself. The tears he shed for characters were a distraction from the tears his own soul should have been shedding for its true condition. Carthage was a pivotal stage in Augustine's life, where he painfully learned the distinction, or rather, the profound confusion between genuine love and mere carnal desire. He was searching, but often in all the wrong places. All right, Chapter 4, The Error of the Intellect. Here, a brilliant, arrogant young Augustine seeks truth in all the wrong places. For 9 long years, he completely embraced Manichaeism. This was a dualistic religion, a good god of light versus an evil god of darkness. Humans, they believed, were caught between these two cosmic forces. This offered Augustine a compelling, though ultimately false, answer to the problem of evil. It meant his sins weren't his fault. His lusts, his pride, these weren't products of his own free will, but rather the darkness acting through him. A perfect, convenient excuse, completely absolving him of personal responsibility. Augustine's keen mind, however, eventually spotted inconsistencies. He'd heard of Faustus, a revered Manichaean bishop, famed for his eloquence and wisdom. Augustine desperately hoped Faustus held the profound answers he sought. But upon meeting Faustus, while charismatic, proved intellectually hollow. Augustine's serious questions about theology and science met only beautiful, empty rhetoric. All style, no substance. This was a crushing blow. His intellectual savior was bankrupt. This profound disillusionment became the critical turning point, ending his Manichaean phase. He'd chased an external scapegoat for an internal failing, finding only hollowness. Chapter 5 plunges us into Augustine's darkest hour, his closest friend's death. It was a soul-crushing blow. Augustine describes absolute grief, his very being torn apart. His world became desolate, every familiar corner echoing his friend's absence. Sleep vanished, peace eluded him. He was a man consumed, a puzzle to himself. Yet, in this profound anguish, a critical truth surfaced. Augustine realized his pain stemmed from an error. He'd poured his entire heart into this human bond. He treated a finite being as his infinite source of joy and meaning. He had, essentially, confused the magnificent gift with the eternal giver. This brutal revelation, anchoring ultimate happiness, your identity to anything, transient people, possessions. Achievements guarantees devastation when it vanishes. The enduring lesson then, we must love deeply, but we must learn to love in God. Cherish friends, family, partners, not as substitutes for the divine, but as precious reflections of God's love. When we hold them in this light, their absence, while still bringing sorrow, won't utterly destroy us. Our ultimate anchor remains the infinite, unfailing love of the divine, the source from which all good things flow. All right, let's talk about a huge turning point for Augustine. What we call Rome, Milan, and Bishop Ambrose. This isn't just a change of address. It's where his intellectual pride truly began to crack, making way for genuine humility. Still restless, still searching, Augustine arrives in Milan. There, he meets Bishop Ambrose. Ambrose wasn't just any spiritual leader. He was an intellectual giant, famous for his eloquence and profound wisdom. Augustine, always drawn to sharp minds, initially listened for the rhetoric. But soon, the substance of Ambrose's sermons began to sink in. This is where everything truly shifted. Augustine had always scoffed at Christian scriptures, finding their literal interpretations crude, even absurding imagine God with a physical body. But Ambrose unveiled a revolutionary approach, reading the Bible allegorically. He taught Augustine to look beyond the surface for deeper spiritual meanings, for hidden metaphors and wisdom. Suddenly, those primitive texts became profoundly intelligent. This allegorical key was a revelation. It reconciled his reason with faith. Coupled with his study of Platonic thought, Augustine started shedding his rigid materialism. He began to grasp immaterial reality, understanding evil not as a competing substance, but as an absence of good. This was a colossal intellectual leap, yes, but it also demanded immense humility. The proud scholar who'd dismissed so much was now learning, admitting his past judgments were flawed. He was letting a new understanding reshape his world. Those intellectual barriers crumbled, paving the way for his spiritual transformation. Hey everyone, welcome back. Chapter 7 of Augustine's Confessions, The Battle of Two Wills, nails a universal struggle. Knowing right, yet feeling utterly paralyzed to act. Here, Augustine utters one of history's most famous and most relatable prayers. Grappling with his lingering desires, he cries out, "Grant me chastity and continence." But please, not yet. Astounding honesty. He wants purity, knows it's the path, yet a powerful, almost irresistible force holds him back. It's the classic dilemma. The spirit is willing, but the flesh, well, the flesh is still dragging its heels. This reveals a profound paralysis of will. His intellect is convinced. He sees the truth. Yet old habits, deep cravings, they're invisible chains. They bind the new Augustine, yearning for change, to his old self, clinging to comfort. He feels utterly powerless. Reason says go, but desires just cling. They whisper familiarity, ease, making the struggle feel insurmountable. That good trenching chasm, conviction versus action. Your mind is resolute, but your impulses simply won't comply. Augustine's battle mirrors ours. It's the universal human experience, knowing what's right, yet feeling incapable of truly living it. That intense, internal tug-of-war. Welcome back. Today, we delve into Chapter 8 of Augustine's Confessions, the legendary Tolle Lege conversion in the garden. Augustine, utterly broken by his weakness, found himself in a garden, weeping uncontrollably. He was sick of his own constant struggle against ingrained habits. How long, he sobbed. Why not now? End my uncleanness. Despair gripped him. A true battlefield of the soul, then. From a nearby house, a child's voice chanted clearly, "Tolle Lege, Tolle Lege. Pick up and read. Pick up and read." Stunned, Augustine took it as a divine command. He rushed to where Paul's epistles lay, grabbed it and opened it at random, his heart pounding. His eyes landed on Romans 13:14, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ. In that precise instant, a light of serenity flooded his heart. All doubt vanished. The iron chains of habit, the insidious grip of his old life, shattered completely. Only absolute peace, certainty, and an unshakable resolve. This was his radical transformation. The weary search ended, a life surrendered, an enduring, powerful testament to divine grace. Chapter 9, Monica and the Vision at Ostia, reveals a mother's faith and spiritual harmony. Monica's relentless devotion endured years. Her ceaseless tears and prayers for Augustine's conversion were boundless love. She weathered heartbreaks, but her unwavering faith, a powerful seed, blossomed into his return to God. Post-baptism, the sublime Ostia conversation. At a window, mother and son, finally united, transcended the physical. Their minds ascended, touching eternity, speaking only of God and everlasting life, a profound moment of perfect spiritual communion. Monica soon passed peacefully, her mission fulfilled. Her last wish, remembrance at the Lord's altar. Augustine, now rooted in faith, met this loss with new maturity. Grief was tempered by certainty of her eternal joy, replacing youthful despair with quiet, hopeful sorrow. Monica's legacy and the spiritual harmony with her son echoes a reminder of transforming love and divine ascent. All right, buckle up, because Augustine is about to take us on a mind-bending journey. Not to a distant land, but deep inside himself, his memory. What he discovers there is absolutely breathtaking. He describes his memory as a colossal palace. Imagine a vast warehouse storing everything you've ever experienced. Every scent, sound, flavor, image. Not just facts, but emotions, hopes, fears, loved ones' faces, childhood meals. It's all perfectly indexed, ready to be called upon. A true miracle, this echoing cathedral of the mind, holding his soul's entire history. It's within this personal universe that Augustine begins his most profound search. For years, he'd sought God externally, in philosophies, nature's beauty, the cosmos. He looked to the heavens, mountains, seas, asking, "Are you there?" They'd all reply, "We are not your God. He made us." Then, a stunning realization. What if he'd been looking in the wrong direction? What if God wasn't out there? What if he was right here, in this palace of memory, in the deepest chambers of his own being? So, he searches. He sifts through memories of beauty, truth, goodness, even inner turmoil. He pulls out ideas of eternal life, the very notion of God. And as he searches, it dawns on him. God wasn't lost. God was never lost. He was always present, always accessible. It wasn't God who had moved. It was Augustine. He had stepped outside himself, seeking him externally, when the divine presence resided in the deepest parts of his soul. God had been calling from within his own memory, waiting for Augustine to just listen. Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving into Chapter 11 of Augustine's Confessions, a truly mind-bending exploration of time itself. Augustine pushes us into a deep philosophical reflection on the very nature of existence. He kicks things off with that age-old, perplexing riddle. What was God doing before he created heaven and earth? It's more than just a playful joke. It's a profound challenge to our understanding of God, existence, and time itself. Augustine argues, if God created everything, then he certainly created time. So, Before creation isn't truly before anything at all, because time, as we know it, didn't exist yet. He helps us untangle this by dissecting our human perception of time. Think about it. Where is the past? It's gone. Where is the future? It isn't here. They don't have an independent physical presence. Their only reality is in our minds, our memory of what was, our anticipation of what will be. The present is this fleeting, infinitesimally small moment that's constantly slipping away, constantly becoming past. Time, as we experience it, is a stretching of the mind, a mental construct, not some external flowing river. God, however, is not subject to this human experience. He is eternal. God exists in an unchanging now, where past, present, and future are all simultaneously present. He simply is. Outside the temporal flow, he himself brought into being for creation. So, what was God doing before creation? For Augustine, the answer is nothing. Not because he was idle, but because before had no meaning until he brought time into being. Augustine challenges our linear thinking, pushing us to ponder existence beyond our usual frames. Until next time. Here we are, at our final chapter with Augustine, a journey across a soul's profound transformation. The final rest speaks volumes, hinting at the deep peace that ultimately awaits us. Remember Augustine's early days, brilliant, restless. His heart scattered by countless worldly desires, chasing fleeting pleasures and ambitions, always left wanting. Adrift, fragmented by sin. But through introspection, wrestling with faith, he began to gather those pieces. His path converged from chaotic self-will to singular focus. Finding profound unity in God. It's a powerful testament to finding one's anchor. This unity revealed true happiness. Not fleeting sensual pleasure, nor temporary worldly achievements. Instead, Augustine discovered gaudium de veritate, the deep, abiding joy in truth itself, a spiritual joy, a profound contentment from living in harmony with ultimate reality, with God's divine order. A joy that doesn't fade, a peace worldly troubles cannot easily disturb. Augustine's confessions culminate in a profound yearning for ultimate, eternal peace, a prayer for the cessation of earthly struggle, for the soul's complete immersion in the divine presence, where every question is answered, every ache soothed, and rest finally attained. The ultimate homecoming, the sweet silence of perfect union. This, he teaches, is life's true destination, an eternal, abiding peace. May we all find such peace on our own journeys. All right, you've journeyed with Augustine. Now, let's bring those ancient lessons alive with our 7-day action plan, the Augustinian path. This isn't just theory. It's practical transformation, starting today. Narrator. Days 1 and 2. Confession. Augustine bared his soul, brutally honest about his struggles. You'll do the same. Grab a journal. For 2 days. Write honestly about your bad habits. What truly holds you back? Endless scrolling, procrastination, unhealthy snacks. This raw honesty is your first step towards freedom. Narrator. Moving into days 3 through 5. Willpower. Discipline. Augustine grappled with his desires. Now, strengthen your will. Pick one pleasure, just one, and practice complete abstinence for these 3 days. Social media, sweets, gaming, put it on hold. This isn't deprivation. It's proving you are in control, not your impulses. Feel that willpower muscle grow. Narrator, finally, days 6 and 7. Stillness. Augustine found profound truth in sacred texts, in quiet contemplation. For the final 2 days, dedicate 30 minutes daily to deep reading and reflection, not quick articles. Pick a profound book, philosophy, history, spirituality, something that makes you think. Read slowly, reflect on its meaning for you. Let your mind settle. Narrator. This 7-day path is a micro-journey, a taste of Augustine's discipline and introspection. It's challenging, yes, but immensely rewarding. Take these steps, reshape your narrative. You've got this. All right, everyone, we've journeyed deep into the mind and heart of St. Augustine. We've witnessed his struggles, doubts, and ultimate transformation. Let's distill it all down into 3 core, profound lessons, essential takeaways that resonate just as powerfully today as they did over 1500 years ago. First up, and perhaps the most famous insight from the Confessions, the human heart is always restless until it finds its ultimate meaning. Augustine himself put it beautifully. Our hearts are restless, O Lord, until they rest in you. This isn't just about faith. It's a universal truth. We chase careers, relationships, possessions, fleeting pleasures, all searching for satisfaction, lasting peace. But, as Augustine learned, nothing finite can ever truly fill an infinite longing, that yearning within us. It's a compass pointing towards something bigger, God, ultimate truth, purpose, or transcendent meaning. Until we align with that, we're perpetually seeking, perpetually restless. Our second key lesson from Augustine is this: sin is often a search for good things, but pursued in the wrong way. When Augustine stole pears, he wasn't just being bad. There was a perverted desire for friendship, freedom, belonging, and power, however misguided. We crave love, connection, joy, freedom, security, inherently good desires. But when we try to satisfy them through addiction, control, manipulation, or fleeting pleasures, we're taking a shortcut, using a broken map. We seek the right destination, happiness, fulfillment, but on a road that leads us astray, leaving us emptier. It's a profound reframe of what we often label as wrongdoing. And finally, our third crucial takeaway: the human will needs grace, external, often spiritual, help to overcome old habits. Augustine knew willpower. He tried, time and again, to pull himself out of his lifestyle, to break free from lust and ambition. But he found himself stuck, trapped in the chains of his habits. He discovered that sheer determination alone often isn't enough to transform us, especially with deeply rooted behaviors. We need something more, a divine push, an external intervention, or genuine support from a community that helps reshape our desires and strengthens our resolve. True change often comes from beyond our individual efforts, enabling us to choose the good we inherently desire, but struggle to embrace. These 3 lessons aren't just historical footnotes. They're profound guides for navigating our lives, our restlessness, our struggles with desire and change. They invite us to look deeper, not just at actions, but at the ultimate longings of our hearts. And so, we conclude our journey through the Confessions of St. Augustine, a profound, raw, and deeply human exploration of faith, doubt, and truth. Augustine truly invites us to examine our own souls. Now, Augustine's infamous pear incident, stealing fruit purely for the thrill of mischief, for the pleasure of doing wrong, a powerful metaphor for that pointless, irrational indulgence, doing something you shouldn't, not for gain, but just because you can. So I ask you, what is the pear in your life right now? That senseless temptation, that irrational impulse you give into, even when it serves no purpose or goes against your better judgment. Share your pears in the comments. Let's talk. If this dive into Augustine resonated, and you're hungry for more profound insights from history's greatest philosophical thinkers, hit that subscribe button. We make complex ideas approachable and relevant to your life. Don't miss our future explorations. Speaking of life's complexities, our next video might explore Stoicism, controlling what we can, accepting what we can't, or perhaps the timeless quest for finding meaning in life. Expect more thought-provoking insights. Thank you for joining this intellectual adventure. Until next time, keep questioning, keep reflecting,